Hey guys, what's up, aspirants? This is Roman Sani here again with another video. One quick thing I wanted to tell you that we have decided after a lot of requests we have received, and now finally we have decided to make a dedicated channel to UPSC preparation. That is www.youtube.com/unacademyupsc. Yeah, so there. Let's get it out of the way. Do like it, share it, subscribe it. So now I'm starting a new series which is reliving the past. It's an awesome series. I think I'm gonna have fun with it. I hope you guys have fun watching it. So the chapter which we are starting with is the basic understanding of world history. One or two quick things I want to tell you about the world history is this. Of course, it's conceptualized by me, and you can read more about me on my Facebook page. And any queries, you can directly send it to my Facebook page, and I'll respond within 24 hours. That's the deal. That's the promise I make. So, what I wanted to tell you about world history is this. See, when I gave my mains examination about 7 months ago, in December of 2013, that was the first time world history was ever introduced in UPSC. So at that time, people didn't know what to study and what not to study. So I personally focused on round about 15 topics. So these topics will be covered by me exhaustively. And in paper one, which includes world history, history, and geography, art, and culture, I got 97 marks out of 250. Percentage wise, it looks bad, but believe me, these are one of the highest. So this is the basic framework which goes around like this, that there will be a particular topic and I'll be covering it with only the keywords and the major themes. Like, this is the thing: keywords plus major themes. No mugging up of facts, no mugging up of battles. That's boring, man. That doesn't come in examination, that doesn't help you at all. You just have 8 minutes per question since the new pattern has commenced last year. So you just need to remember the keywords, and believe me, you'll get through it. So, why do you think do we need to study world history in general or especially for UPSC examination? So this is the question a lot of aspirants keep asking me. So I am just reverting back this question to you again. So guys, tell me, why do you think that we need to study world history? Like, I want your opinion. Of course, you know where it's either in the comment section down the video or to my page, FB page. So do answer this question because it will help you know yourself better, that why do you think UP has introduced this section. So there. So now this is what I call world history. What do you mean by world history? World back then was nothing but Europe and Americas and their exploit, that is Asia. So this was the only world which they knew of, and this is the only world which we will be reading about. World history has always been a story of transition, an awesome story of transition from a civilization, end of civilization to dawn of an era, an end of an empire to dawn of a civilization. This is a circle of life. This goes on and on and on and on and on. So I'll be able to, with my experience and my study of this topic, I'll be able to better direct you as to what is important for the examination part. So the thing which I need to focus mostly is that you just need to study only selective topics for UPSC. Just the selective topics. The list is coming in short while. By the way, we changed the name of the channel. So yeah, it's Unacademy UPSC. www.youtube.com/Unacademy UPSC. Anyways, you just need to remember the keywords of a particular topic and the overall themes. Cool. Just keywords and the overall themes. No need to remember battles. No need to remember which king killed whom. Where did Napoleon Bonaparte suffered his defeat? Where is Waterloo and all that? Nobody's gonna ask you. They're gonna ask you what was the reason. What was the reason of this, of that? What was the life turning events of a particular nation, civilization, of a war? These are the questions which you might be expecting in the examination, nothing else, nothing more. So we talk about story of civilization. Since world history is nothing but story of civilization, so I wanted to get a bit poetic at my heart, and I wanted to say this, that story of civilization is all about transformation, and it's all about evolution. They say that we are precariously perched on the precipice, and we are permanently and perpetually perplexed by this story called civilization. So here we go. Yeah, thank you. So this evolution happens along various key points, which I will be covering in the next slide. Since the rate of development or the rate of evolution or the rate of transformation, whatever you want to call it, occurs at a very, very different pace in the different part of the world, that has led to the present status. Like the Europe and Americas are more or less the developed part of the world, while the large majority of the countries are still lagging behind. So this rate of pace was very fast in Europe and USA, and slightly on the slower side on Asia. So this world history will give you an analysis of what happened in our country, why the present status is like that. Anyway, so the transition, what I wanted to teach you, the major transition that occurred in economy was that it transformed from a primitive capitalism society to a mercantilism society. What do you mean by mercantilism? All these topics will be covered by me in exhaustive details, so no need to discuss them right now. Okay. The ruling form of government was monarchy, that is hereditary king, and it got transformed more or less to large majority of the world into a democracy, which was the famous definition of Abraham Lincoln, by, of, and for the people. And finally, the social values got transformed from a traditional, orthodox, and a rigid mentality to a liberal and a flexible and more or less consensus based. So here, religion was the mainstay of the social values. Still, religion plays a larger role. I won't deny that, but man-made consensus building has occurred, and that has given rise to what we call as constitution, which is followed more or less in entire world. So these are the major three evolution or transition which has occurred. So this is a very important slide, guys. Do remember this. You can use these words in your examinations. So now alas, the major topics, I'll just go through them very, very fastly. First is the Industrial Revolution, which we'll be talking in the next video. Then American Revolution, French Revolution, meaning of imperialism and colonialism, and a very, very important topic. This year, by the way, the first time the question came on American Revolution. Yeah. So in December 2013, I was writing a question on American Revolution. Then we will be dealing about Napoleon Bonaparte, Congress of Vienna, unification of Italy, how and unification of Germany, how Bismarck played a major role in it. The Eastern question, which still haunts us today, still haunts the world today. So you will understand the genesis of these issues. That's most important thing. That's the reason why we study world history, according to me. Then Russian Revolution, then precipitation of Eastern question, First World War, then inter-World War period between World War First and Two, which saw a lot of rise of nationalism in Europe. Then post-war Germany, how it was betrayed, battered, and bruised. What was the state of Germany back then, which led to rise of nationalism in Europe and especially fascism in Germany. Okay, guys. Finally, the last two topics are League of Nations, how it was, what was the plus points, why it did not succeed. So these are the things which we'll be discussing. And finally, the last topic of world history will be the Second World War. So why I am not starting with Renaissance. Many of you are questioning that why don't we read about Renaissance and all. So in short, Renaissance is useless for UPSC. However, since you will be asking me these questions, so I'll cover it. And Renaissance literally means rebirth. It happened more or less in Europe, especially in areas surrounding Italy, Austria, etc. These are the two countries where Renaissance actually happened. So it was the rebirth of logical ideas, rationality, and scientific temper among the population, which occurred about 1500 years of dark ages. As you all be knowing that Roman Empire was there. It was one of the glorious periods of development in human history. Then followed about 1500 years of Dark Ages, which was followed by what we call as Renaissance. Okay, so now Renaissance provided a means of geographical discovery, since you had ships now being developed, so that led to discovery geographical discoveries. The two most important geographical discovery of them are 1492 the Americas by great Columbus, and 1498 Vasco da Gama, India, of course, our own country, which were discovered. They still have their forts and churches in Goa, as you might all be knowing. Do visit Goa when you get rid of this examination after preliminary examination. Here we go. So, what happened with geographical discoveries? Here we go. So, what happened with geographical discoveries? This is the key question. It boosted intercontinental trade. Europeans were now going as far as to China, present day Hong Kong, India, Singapore, etc. Long distance journey were becoming feasible, more and more feasible. There was interdependence of economies. Now Britain economy, if anything happened to India, let's say, it reverted way back to Britain and it affected their economy. Since now Indian goods were transferred to Britain, so there was increased demand of various goods which were unheard of earlier. Are you getting the point? Earlier, nobody knew that the sarees of India is famous, the clothes of India is famous, the spices of India are famous in Europe. But now each and every one of them started to develop a taste of it. Now, what happened? Where we go? Let's say if there is a crisis or a drought in India, so it will affect directly Britain. So the traditional production method were not able to cope up with the large majority of demand. There was large, huge population of Europe with money, but since there were weavers and artisans of India and other Asian countries were still not using big machineries, so the demand supply gap keep on widening. So as you know, when demand supply gaps widens, what happens is, so the next thing had to come, which was, as you all be knowing, the dawn of industrial revolution. Most single most important glorious events in the history of mankind. It happened about 250 years ago, and we will be dealing in extreme details. These two images show what industrial revolution is all about. So these are the mechanization, as you can see here. These are large majority of people employed at a very small place which they call factories, and just see the scale at which they are producing. They are not producing for a single individual or a family or a nation. They are producing for entire world. So this was the difference. This is how it started. Large employment got generated, but anyways, we will be dealing it in the next video. Do watch the next video. So here, guys, so this is the end of this beginning of the new series, which I called Relive the Past, on a new channel, www.youtube.com/unacademy upsc. Do like, share and subscribe it. Myself, Roman Saini, I got 18th rank in civil services, so I'll be joining as an IAS officer training in Missouri in 1st September. If you have any question whatsoever, you know my FB page, www.facebook.com/romansaini.official. You message me there. I'll reply within 24 hours. That's a personal guarantee, as you all be knowing. Or you can also tweet to me at my Twitter handle at romansaini. And this is our website where all content will be available. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks a lot.